We really had to push the limits of what we could do.
Serious injuries, sneaky parties on set, bromances for the history books, stunts that left actors battered and bruised. Uncharted had it all and more. We've got the inside look at all it took to bring this movie to life. Number 1. Should we get these two a room?
Well, the first time we met, we hit it off.
10 minutes into meeting each other, Tom knew it was fate.
I realized if we got the chance to work together, we'd be fast friends.
The bromance was real and made the relationship on screen perfect.
The thing that elevates the material is the chemistry between the two of us.
While they loved each other, they did make their fair share of jabs.
And we were good mates, and there's a good rivalry between the two of us, which was a lot of fun.
And that rivalry made it out to the green.
We hung out quite a lot outside of work. We were playing golf with each other and having dinners. We're lucky to have each other as a kind of team.
Number 2. Unexpected is always welcome.
Most of what Mark and I are saying to each other is an improv.
Holland and Wahlberg were throwing lines in left, right, and center.
We're constantly testing each other.
Wahlberg doesn't miss a beat.
Mark's just a really naturally funny guy who brings all kinds of lines.
Oh, and if Tom weren't busy enough flaring behind the bar, he went the extra mile with his bartender's savvy wisecracks.
I mean, there's lines throughout where Tom was coming up with great moments.
Number 3. Whiskey sour please, bartender Tom. The actor's slick flair moves came from some real-life practice. Part of his prep work for the role saw the actor behind the bar at Chiltern Firehouse, slinging drinks and flipping bottles like a pro. Number 4. With a bartender around, why not?
I said to the producers, can we keep the bar open?
Okay, so keep this on the DL.
I probably shouldn't say this because it's I guess it's kind of illegal, but
that bar scene looked rowdy for a reason.
I would basically say to crew members, what would you like to drink?
Who says no to that kind of offer?
I was really making drinks and just slyly, giving them to the crew.
They were filming on a Friday night, and when they wrapped for the day, Tom wanted to keep the party going.
And I was the bartender. It was amazing.
Number 5. This was the most terrifying stunt for Tom in the movie.
And it was awful.
The giant set was built, and then
they would drop it into the water and it would sink.
And the stage was set for the actors to hold their breath for an insane amount of time, all while trying to swim out of a hole in the back of the structure and up to the surface. Yep, definitely terrifying. Number 6. It's just so good. And guess what? It only took a casual 5 weeks to film. Yikes.
It's the hardest action sequence I've ever made.
Shooting so much practically meant Holland was hanging 100 feet in the air at one point, barely attached to a spinning block.
And it was really scary.
Oh, and then he goes tumbling through the sky.
I was shooting stunts that are far bigger than anything I've done before.
And these were all just for one sequence. Number 7. The one that sends Tom flying.
And then the car would sort of zoom towards me, I would hit it and then fly off.
And it was oh so effective, but it made Holland's job tricky.
The hardest thing is Ruben really wanted me to try and stay horizontal as I left the aeroplane before I went into my sort of spin.
Nailing this took a whopping 17 takes.
So it took a long time to get right, and it just so happened that was the day that my mum came to watch.
She wasn't a fan of seeing her boy get so battered.
My mum sort of coming up to me on the 12th take, do you not think they've got it already? Can't they move on?
Who can blame her? Number 8. There were some weird faces captured.
I'd be sort of coming into land and I'm like,
Holland has been used to donning his Spidey suit or relying on CGI to mask the faces that he makes while going through his insane stunts.
My stunt doubles would come up to me and be like, Tom, that was great, but less face, mate.
Just speaking was hard enough in the middle of all the action.
It's really difficult to sound normal because normally you're like, yeah, really. So it can be tough.
Number 9. Teeth were nearly lost. Seriously.
Mark actually hit me in the teeth with a sword.
It happened the way that sword fighting accidents happen.
And as he did his backswing, he clipped me in the teeth.
No wonder Tom swore he'd never film a sword fight scene again. Can't risk losing those pearly whites. Number 10. His teeth were salvaged, but his body was not.
It was more physically demanding.
Taking all those hits and landings left a mark.
I got bangs and bruises here and there.
One of the riskier stunts that he did himself did take quite the toll.
I did quite a gnarly jump over a railing in Barcelona. My whole right side was black and blue.
And when he was nearly at the finish line,
I got really bad tendonitis in my hamstring.
Things got even tougher.
Which isn't a very cool injury, that's just from overwork.
Number 11. Tom's typical days on set were far from easy. In just one day, Holland whipped out a backflip over his co-star Wahlberg, and then he duked it out with two even buffer stunt legends, but that's not all. There was talk of a potential stunt involving a 50-foot drop and being caught by a chandelier. For real? Dude earns his paycheck. Number 12. Does time off even exist? Tom has been busy starring in, well, everything, and at one point the actor was near total burnout. Near the end of filming, while struggling with rough tendinitis, Holland had to call it, asking for a weekend to rest and just heal. The production totally understood. They've got to take care of their star. Number 13. It's tough to be this cool. One of the hardest parts of becoming Nathan Drake was, funnily enough, settling into the cool dude vibes. Tom has pulled off the not-so-smooth Peter Parker, but this was a new ballgame, and one that the actor was very ready for. When he went back to the No Way Home set, he actually had to de-coolify. Number 14. And sometimes looking cool is a downfall. Holland knew he had to look slick, but at times he took it a bit too far. I think there are elements of my performance in Uncharted where I kind of fell under the spell of being, I want to look good now. I want this to be my cool moment. Luckily, his acting chops make up for a few moments of vanity. Number 15. Epic playlist music, anyone?
There are two moments in the movie where we feature the Uncharted score as a nod to fans.
Ramin Djawadi, who was responsible for the Game of Thrones score, worked his magic for Uncharted.
He did our entire original score specific to the film, creating original themes for Nathan Drake.
While the score of the original game is epic,
I wanted to make sure that our movie stood alone from the game and that we weren't just recreating it for fans.
Number 16. He's a real tough guy. Wahlberg got to work achieving incredible physical shape for filming. Training included loads of cardio, weightlifting, functional movement, and of course, the perfect push-up. Number 17. The pressure was on.
And I realised that I looked like Mark's 12-year-old son.
An unexpected 5-month break was great for Tom because he got to try and catch up to Wahlberg's level of buff.
All I did was eat and train every day. Protein shakes all the time. It was a nightmare.
But it was all worth it, just for a compliment from his buddy Mark.
He did actually comment and was like, wow, you've put on some serious size. So I was actually really grateful for the break.
Number 18. He's a Sony boy living in a Sony World.
And I remember thinking at the time, wow, this would make an incredible movie.
How exactly did Tom get involved with this project? Well, it all began while filming a little movie called Spider-Man Homecoming.
Spider-Man 1, and obviously Spider-Man being a Sony movie and Sony owning PlayStation, one of the luxuries is you always get a PlayStation in your trailer.
And you know he played Uncharted. Tom was hooked.
You know, I was a massive fan of this game, so it was a huge honor to sort of bring him to life and develop the character.
Number 19. This movie was a long time coming, and over the span of about a decade, 7 different directors were attached at some point or other. We're talking about some big names. David O. Russell, Travis Knight, Seth Gordon, Dan Trachtenberg, and Neil Burger. The search was stressful, but Ruben Fleischer eventually got the gig, which was a relief to everyone involved. Number 20. Ready, set, and wait. Tom Holland showed up to set raring to go, only to be turned away as the team shut down production indefinitely because of COVID. Once they were all back, Antonio Banderas had to dip out for a month as he battled the virus himself. A blockbuster like this is tough to create, but with this team around, it's a bit of a dream. Which part do you think would have been most fun to film?